Jeff.
Good evening.
All right. The gang's all here, I think. So, welcome everybody to the select board portion of town meeting. Thank you everyone who's dialed in and joining us. So tonight we are going to talk about the ballot, and we got only a handful of comments and suggestions. So we'll walk through. I think how we did it last time is, remind me, Neil, we just start with Article 3?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can, do you want to start with the comments from Article 3?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Well, actually, there's a few general comments. I don't know if you want to do those first.
Oh, yeah, good point. Let's do those. I think there was only maybe 2.
I think so.
Oh, yes. Okay, so the first question, do I need to read these into the record, or I can't remember last year if we did that? Or is it enough that we're showing them here?
They will go in the record in the
Okay.
minutes, just like this. So
Good. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone wants to respond to the first comment, which is about the transfer station and the fact that Hopkinton, we use green bags to try to keep waste down and encourage recycling, but Webster, who shares the transfer station with us, does not use the same system. So I know this is something that has been discussed at length for years, and I'm not sure I don't think any of us have a great solution, or, I mean, I guess it's something that can be raised, at another time. And I know there's people in town who care about this issue, and it's probably a good issue for the Waste Reduction Committee, actually. So I don't know if anyone else wants to comment on that first transfer station comment.
Sure, Sabrina. Just a couple of facts I wanted to bring out is that the transfer station is owned jointly by Hopkinton and Webster. It's run by our town employees, but all operating expenses, capital costs, and non-green bag revenues are shared proportionally by the 2 towns. All the green bag revenues go to the benefit of Hopkinton taxpayers. And over the last 8 years, during my tenure on the select board, there have been many times when there's been a petition warrant article to do away with the green bags. And every time the green bags have continued. So I think that up to this point, the predominance of people in town is that they support the green bag concept approach.
Yeah, thank you for that much more articulate comment than I made. But I do think that it's something that, it comes up from time to time. And I do think the Waste Reduction Committee could be a good venue to talk about on this issue. All right, anyone else on this first comment? Okay, so the next comment is a general thank you, which I think we all appreciate. And support of Article 4. So thank you, Jim O'Brien, for the kind words, and also Elizabeth Sides, general thank you, which is appreciated. Okay, so we can move on to Article 3, the operating budget. So the first, and I think really the only true proposed amendment to Article 3 would be to increase the operating budget by $15,921, specifically the merit wage pool. So this would, in short, increase the wage pool to 2%, up from 1.5. So thoughts on this proposal?
Okay, again, Sabrina, first, I just wanted to focus on clarifying in the second paragraph that Ian speculated that because of the increase in the health insurance costs, some of our employees might actually go backwards. That's not correct. To clarify, I asked Neil what the maximum increase out-of-pocket costs to a town employee would be next year. And if you look at a family plan, it would go up by $63 annually, which is obviously considerably less than 1.5% cost of living increase. The other thing I wanted to point out is that our town employees did receive during the first year of the pandemic a 3% merit increase. And by comparison, for Social Security, our citizens that are on Social Security, they saw a 1.6% increase last year and a 1.3% increase for this year. So against that standard, our employees are doing better.
Yeah, thanks for that correction, Ken. Anyone else want to comment?
Yes, I would just quickly add that I appreciate the sentiment here behind this proposed amendment. I don't know what our next steps are in terms of discussing it, but I do appreciate the sentiment of, wanting to increase the compensation for our town employees. I think that's a valuable and noble sentiment, and I appreciate that very much.
Yes, so I think if people want to comment on whether they want to move forward with this suggestion, now makes sense.
So how would you mean, assuming that we agreed with this, or a different number, and the wage pool, the merit wage pool got increased, how would that then be applied to the employees? Like $15,000 for all the town employees. I mean, it's not necessarily spread around evenly. Like, so how would that work?
No, Stephen, you're incorrect. This is a cost of living adjustment. So it would be spread as 2% for each employee.
But doesn't he say specifically the merit wage pool?
But it's not a merit wage pool this year.
Okay. So what would, in light of that correction, thank you, Ken, what would that equate to for the town employees that are eligible for it?
It would be an additional 0.5% increase, if that's what you're asking.
I mean, in terms of actual dollars that they would receive pre-tax, if there was an extra 15,000 spread around to all the employees, what would that equate to?
How many employees, Neil?
So, right now everybody's at a different, because it's done by percentages. So it would move, if these numbers are correct, from 1.5% to 2% across the board, effective after this passes.
And how
So
many
right-
total employees?
Total employees receiving this are 42.
So that's an average of an extra $379 per. Obviously, 2% of a higher wage person is different than 2% of a low wage person.
Thank you.
Sure. And just to echo Ken's earlier comment, I was new to the board when the pandemic started, and we had authorized, or we had included in the budget, the 3% raises for last year. And the budget didn't pass until July, but we paid those increases along the entire way. And then the argument was, well, we can't really take them back now, but we'll consider that in developing next year's budget. Well, this is next year's budget, and I support maintaining the budget that we proposed and not increasing it as suggested by this amendment.
Thank you, Jeff, for explaining that a little better than I did.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Jeff on this, and I know we discussed, this sort of reflects the times we're living in, that things are sort of lean for everybody. So it sounds like Ken, Jeff, and I are all on the same page. Does anyone else want to make an argument for accepting this? Okay. Neil, we can just move on, right? We don't need to vote unless we're actually going to vote to accept one of the amendments.
That's correct. Unless you want to change it.
Right. Okay.
I don't think you need to vote. You can leave it the way it is.
Okay. So I think we can move on to the next budget comment. So this person suggests that town voters have an opportunity to vote on how to appropriate the potential windfall we might get from the American Rescue Plan, which is expected to be around $570,000. So the suggestion is a fourth of the amount be used each of the next 4 years to mitigate tax rate increases, or the entire amount be used to repair roads and sidewalks. So I appreciate the thought. I think we just don't know any of the parameters around how this money can be used yet, right? Am I correct in saying that? Yeah.
Yes.
There are some very vague parameters in place, and infrastructure is one of them.
Mhm.
But specifics, we're waiting for guidance on that.
Okay. And Ken mentioned it and explained it on Monday night, but the $570,000 is not in our operating budget. And so I think mechanically, I don't think this is something that we would even be able to, vote on. Like, I think that we have to wait and see, first of all, if the money comes in the way we think it will. And then second of all, figure out the parameters around what it can be used for. So I'm not sure how we would incorporate this in this moment. Does anyone else have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Sabrina.
Ken, you're hard to hear right now. I don't know what's going on. You sound very far away.
Okay, maybe I agree with you. I think it's premature. I think that what Kevin Connolly is saying is that give the voters the opportunity to provide input is totally appropriate. Now it's not the time because we don't have the information.
Right.
Funds.
Right. We don't have the money yet, which is key.
That opportunity will be available at a board meeting in the future once we know how much, when, and what the
Right.
restrictions are.
Exactly. So I agree. I think this is a good suggestion. I just don't think that it's something we can actually act on now because it's still hypothetical. Okay. Is everybody good with this? All right. So moving on to Article 7, authorization to rent the Bates Building. This suggestion would add language that limits the total years overall that a lease term is allowed to cover, such as 5 or 10 years. So this is an interesting thought. I'm not entirely sure I agree with it, but because it seems like the point of this is to sort of open options for us in terms of negotiating and figuring out best case for a tenant in that building. And I'm not sure really what this gets us, but others.
I think actually under state law, regardless of whether we add language, we're limited to 5 years anyways.
Well, that is a helpful fact. Okay.
So I don't think we need to do anything then because we're already limited to 5 years.
Okay.
I'm sure that wasn't legal advice, but that was just common knowledge, right?
I will read the statute. Is all I will do.
No, I'm okay with 5 years. I think that's fine. You know, the goal of this is to allow a potential tenant to be able to amortize any improvements they might make and not have us throw them out after a year or 18 months. So, I mean, I think this is a good article. And if there's already a 5-year limit in place, then I think we're fine.
All right. That makes sense to me. Anyone else? All right. Thank you for that helpful material fact, Stephen. All right. So I think we can move on. All right. So this is a comment on Article 12, which has to do with SB2. The request. So this person, Bob Lepre, agrees. Not entirely sure. So he agrees the present structure of the SB2 deliberative session is and long hiatus before the vote is an invitation to reduce civic participation. Okay. But the rest of this goes on to say we have found through virtual meetings required by the pandemic restrictions, residents can meaningfully participate through Zoom. I request the board to implement Zoom style access for all public meetings on a permanent basis. And comments include hardware requirements, potentially money from COVID-19 relief funds could be applied. So again, I think this is a good suggestion. And actually, I don't think this is the first time we've heard this. But I don't think, similar to some of the other comments, I don't think it's something we actually can or should vote on right now. So something we can definitely put a pin in and keep under consideration. But anyone have anything else they want to add on this? I think more access is always a good thing. Okay, so I think that brings us to the end of our limited comments. So next, what do we have next, Neil?
I think just a review of the ballot questions, just to make sure
Okay.
they're exactly what you want.
Okay.
If there's the only one that I'm recommending you amend just to clean up is the land swap. So number 3 is as is.
Mhm.
Neil, if you could stop for a second. On the ballot question, the end of it, it says Select Board and Budget Committee recommend this article. Could we say unanimously recommend this article?
I think you probably can if you want to.
Does it cause you any heartburn or extra work to do that?
Not that much.
So some is what you're saying.
So add how's that?
Again, just for people that haven't been following this closely, I think it provides additional information.
I agree with that. Okay.
And I bet Ken's going to recommend the same thing here.
I'm going to recommend the same thing on all of the ones that mentioned Budget Committee.
Set with that one. Right. This is the sell land. It seemed slightly.
Before we move on to this one, shouldn't we vote on those other changes?
Wait, you mean vote on the addition of unanimous?
Yeah.
Or what? Yes. Do we need to vote on,
And we're making a change.
Do we have to vote them individually, or can we agree to all the changes at once we're done with them?
No,
I'm
I think we-
asking because I don't know.
I was going to make a motion to add unanimously to, what was it, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Second,
Yeah,
that seems reasonable. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Anna. So I guess we need to do roll call vote. So Sabrina's yes, Ken,
yes,
Stephen,
Yes.
Anna.
yes.
Yes,
Okay, so we've added unanimously. Thank you.
Seven stayed the same, and 8. This, I think the new wording makes it clearer. I'm not sure the original one was written as well as it could be, so it does the exact same thing. It just makes it, I think it reads better and is clearer.
yeah, the question, Neil, still after a portion of which is the old road. Down, right, stop,
And
to the right of that, of which.
Yep.
Can you fix that above then too, Neil? In the, oh, never mind. No,
I think, yeah. It's,
okay, I think this looks good. Do we want to add unanimous here?
We didn't on the other ones.
That does read a lot better.
it seems a little clearer.
Okay. So somebody
Move
want
to adopt the change.
Second.
Okay. Sabrina's yes, Ken,
yes,
Stephen,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes,
Jeff,
Yes,
thank you. Okay. So we've adopted that.
Add unanimously.
please,
Motion to add unanimously to 9.
second,
Thank you. Sabrina's yes, Ken,
yes,
Stephen,
Yes.
Anna,
yes.
Jeff.
yes,
All right, excellent.
yes,
move that we add the recommendations, the ballot question for 10.
second,
Sabrina's yes, Ken,
yes,
Stephen,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes,
Jeff.
Yes,
Thank you. All right.
And then it's the 2 petition articles, so. And Article 12 is the statutory language.
Okay, this looks fine to me. Anyone?
It's a petition. We can't change it anyway, right?
Mhm.
All right. Can we go down to the SB2 one quickly and just see? Does not recommend 5. Okay, yes. Okay. So, is that it?
That's the whole warrant.
Okay. Do we need to take any other action at this moment? Everybody's good with this. And so timing and process wise, the ballot will be available by tomorrow. I don't have the mail.
9 a.m.
9
9
a.m.
a.m.
Wow, okay. It's fast. And a reminder that people have to actually use a ballot that's given to them on voting day. And that's the rules we were given by the state. We didn't make those up. So you can't print it and fill it out at home, just like the schools. So, any?
Neil, does it still fit on one page, front and back?
It does.
Excellent.
Yep. And it will be colored. It will be colored, but it's a secret what color it will be.
Those
Exciting.
pink and purple stripes are going to be very stunning.
So people can print it at home. They just can't use that as the ballot to vote from. So you want to print it at home, fill it out so that you have it and you can just transfer the bubbles over. That is fine. But you'll have to fill out the ballot that you receive on Saturday morning.
I've
Yes.
heard there'll be an enforcer next to the moderator at the ballot box. So
I haven't heard about
Yeah.
that. I thought I was the enforcer.
You are.
I think
You
you are. Okay, so a reminder that voting will be this Saturday, May 1st, at the high school, starting at 8:30, ending at, here we are, at 2. And it should be, knock on wood, nice and smooth and a beautiful day, just like for the school vote. So hopefully people will show up and vote. And we appreciate everybody who tuned in on Monday and tonight and people who commented and reached out. Anything else on, yes, Sarah?
Rini, I just want to clarify that folks should use the Kearsarge Ave entrance for voting. You will not be able to get in on Park Ave. There's going to be more going on Saturday than we had at school district meeting because the Interact Club has a fundraiser yard sale in the front of the high school on Park Ave, but you will not be able to get from there to the Kearsarge Ave entrance. You would have to drive around if you were doing both of those things. There are also HISA games going on at the ball field. So just be very cautious of everyone who's walking around. It should be fine. We've got lots of signage and traffic flow, people helping out. If you are looking for a time that won't be as busy, anytime except for 8:30 would be recommended. And then just a reminder for folks to wear their masks when they have their windows down and talking to our poll workers out of courtesy. That would be helpful.
And walkers and bikers are also welcome.
They are indeed.
Very welcome, in fact.
Yes.
Oh, and also put your car in park while you are filling out. Jeff is the enforcer on that one. But just a reminder, we do have parking spots for you to do that.
Yes, thank you
That's
for
it
those
for me.
reminders, Sarah. Okay, great. Well, thank you to everybody who has worked on this. A lot of work goes in behind the scenes on every election. So thank you to everybody who's volunteering their time. Anything else on voting before we switch into select board meeting mode? Okay. Well, we are going to officially go into a select board meeting, which everyone is welcome to stay for. We're voting on, I believe, just the consent agenda. So. And I believe I need to read the right to know.